Welcome to Connecting the Community podcast. I am your host, Marj. I will be connecting you to people, organizations, and events that create community. I am creating this podcast in Richmond Hill, an eclectic and very culturally diverse community with lots of trees and streams and interesting people, just up the hill from Toronto. On this podcast, I am talking with Kory Livingston, a musician, motivational speaker, custom-made songwriter, and I think some more. I have looked at his website and I've got lots and lots of questions. So welcome, Kory.
Thank you very much for having me, Marj. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, no, my pleasure's mine. So this is all good. Kory, you live in York region, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're nearby. Can you tell us some of your story and where did you grow up and what did you do before becoming a musician? Or have you always been a musician?
Well, I have always, I'd say about 99% of the time. I grew up in North York, Lawrence and Avenue Road area. And when I studied music all my life. I went to university for music. And it was a funny thing when I was leaving, I was staying in residence. When I was packing up my stuff from residence and going home and driving my dad's car, I realized to myself, gee, all these years, you don't know a damn thing. That was the summation of my education. And that's how I knew I was educated, because I knew that I knew nothing. And my education in music started then in the field. So I tried to get in music right away. It was very funny. I was a piano player, and that's how I billed myself as a piano player. Singing, schminging, as far as I was concerned. Singing was, that's fine, but that's not what I do. I'm going to be a famous pianist. So I went to an agent. First, I had a string of agents lined up to visit. I'm going to start my career, see if I can get somebody to represent me. So I went to the first agent, and I sat down and I played. I thought that was impressive. So he looks at me and he says, "Can you sing?" I said, "Oh, no, I can't." So I had another audition same day in the afternoon. So I went there and I played again, my turn. And wouldn't you know, the guy asked me, "Can you sing?" "Oh yeah, I can sing." And so I did a butchered version of Summertime. Okay. And then they tell me, but it didn't go anywhere. But I realized then the way the avenue that was open at that time, you had to sing as well as play piano. That was, welcome to the real world, right? And so I just started singing. I found a voice teacher, and it's funny because my ability to sing counted for 90% of my income as a professional musician. The piano playing, yeah, that's nice, but the singing and playing, that's what made me the money. And the good thing about that was, at the time when I started my career, live entertainment was everywhere. Every restaurant, every single hotel usually had two stages. One was upstairs downstairs, and that was usually the lounge where the bands played, right? And then upstairs, they always had a piano bar. And people don't know what a piano bar is. It's a grand piano, and people sit around the piano on bar stools. And there's a covering over the top of the piano, and that's where they sit and drink and talk. It was the precursor to your Facebook and your Instagram. People went there to meet every day after work, and the piano player would be supplying the background. So that was perfect for me, because I had many friends who were musicians. They were in bands. They were guitar players or drummers, and you had to join a band. And they traveled from East Coast of Canada to the West Coast of Canada, staying in hotels, 7, 8 guys, bad habits, bad manners, everything else. I got to stay in Toronto. I could go there as a single musician. I got to work at the Royal York, the Park Plaza, all the big hotels, small restaurants. I could go and come, and I made 2 or 3 times as much money as the guys had to go out and travel all around. So, that just was a lesson to me of being adaptable. And that's really the foundation of my professional career.
Well, I like that story. I like your history lesson. And you certainly answered the question. Yes, you sing. And do you play other musical instruments as well?
I play the piano only.
Okay.
I've dabbled on the guitar and whatnot. What I do though is what I do more now is composing.
Mhm.
The instrument is still fine. I still try to improve myself, but my main concern is musically now is composing.
Okay. Yeah, I have looked at your website and you've got your music listed there. You've got a free album where you can sample your music. And we are going to put in the podcast notes your Spotify because that's how lots of people get their music now. It's, yeah, please. I enjoyed listening to your soundtracks. I was listening to more than I thought I would for a while. So you distracted me the other day. So, but yeah, there are 6 different albums that you could buy. Now, so do you have a recording studio?
Yeah, I record at the back half of my house.
Okay.
The old adage of having you need a big, expensive, multi-$100,000 studio, that's gone out the window. It's just like how the internet blew the roof off of information. Computers, you can record with your computers. I have my piano in the background. I have electric piano, and I can do everything you can do in a regular studio. But one thing I don't do is the actual mixing and stuff. I just sort of collect the information and I give it to somebody who that's what they do. They engineers and they produce and they shape sound. So I say, here's my stuff, make it sound nice,
Okay.
blend it together. So that I do send out. I don't do that much. The old saying, stick with what you know, right? So This is what I can do well. I won't try and do something that I'm not good at because it won't come out as good.
Now, did you ever make CDs? Like now it's all on Spotify, but
CDs, I got cassette tapes.
okay.
In fact, I've got 45s.
Whoa, okay. I hope all my listeners who know what a 45 is. Okay.
That's my first recording. Okay.
Okay.
In fact, vinyl has come back.
I've been told that. I have not invested in a new record player, but I know people who have.
Yeah, these are people who are there's a cult, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I want to talk about really the power of music, the why you do it. I do ask all musicians, musical directors, the question, how do you describe the power of music?
Well, it kind of cuts both ways. There's the creation end, and then there's the receiving end. I myself, as a creator, will send it out, let's say, to your ears. You are on the receiving end. So as a creator, you get the satisfaction of making something, fashioning something. This is what I made, with your own thoughts, your own talent. So that's from the creator's creation point of view. So that's satisfying. But on the other hand, you as a receiver, my music affects you. It has an effect on you. It touches some emotion or something. And as a creator, you don't get that because you cannot be in somebody else's shoes, but you appreciate the effect that it has on them. In fact, my second career, which I'm sort of wondering into now, is that of motivational speaking. And I brought my music in with me. How does music work with that? Well, basically, when you speak to people, corporate or associations, conferences, the main thing they advertise is knowledge, some kind of content. Okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to learn something. The outcomes will be 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do A, B. Time after my talk, I'm going to be able to do this, this, and this, or have a better idea. But most speakers, they come in and they'll give you the information and they'll talk nicely and it'll be a PowerPoint and you sing that. And yeah, okay, interesting. Go ahead maybe 6 months, a year. What did that guy say? Okay, come back to what I do. And they're called keynote concerts, by the way. Keynote concerts, as opposed to, I'm a transformational speaker, but it's a keynote concert. So what I'll do, and every good talker, every good transformation or keynote speaker, the backbone of their talking is a story. They'll always tell a personal story about themselves, something because you have to relate to the people. So I will include the story, but I will bring in some music, a song that I've written or another song that underscores what I just finished talking about. And people will have an experience, emotional experience. You will not get an emotional experience from content. Okay. You might get one from a story, but there's nothing evokes emotional experience like music. Why do you think they have music behind every single film? There's always music, because the music tells the story without saying a thing. Okay. You can hear the excitement, you hear the tension, you hear the tenderness, and so music is emotion. And this people will perhaps forget what you said in the stories you said, but they will not forget how they felt. How often you felt yourself, remember that time when we did this and we were there? Wasn't that a great time? Okay, this is why it's a keynote concert. So my music brings home and really drives home what I'm saying. And at the same time, you're being entertained. If your audience is not, okay, oh, there's a nice picture, graph. Okay, I've seen how much, after a while, you've seen thousands of graphs. But you've got the music there and it's entertaining, and it's not frivolous entertainment. It's tied directly to what you just said and to your content. So that's how I bring in the music together. And together you have very, very powerful keynote concert.
That is very, very interesting. I thank you for telling your story of telling stories. I think that's great. But talking about stories, I want to talk about fairy tales. In my past life, I was really interested in studying fairy tales. So when I saw that you did a recording of the Three Billy Goats Gruff, I thought, so please tell me more. What's this recording of the Three Billy Goats Gruff all about?
The inspiration for this was my daughter. She's in grade 2. Many years ago, not in grade 2 now. She's a mother now. Okay. Oh, she was in grade 2. I remember. She wanted me to come to her school. Daddy, come play for my class. So I wrote this one-man musical, the Three Billy Goats Gruff, the musical, as a response to that. And I got the characters. I gave them each a song, just like a musical or an opera. Each Billy Goat had their own song. What I do is I narrate the song, and I sit at the piano, and it's Once Upon a Time. Mm-hmm. And so, as story, children love stories, adults love stories. So I created the story as a musical, and of course, being the narrator, I act out all the parts. The grouch and a little bit of I'm big Billy. So I had to do all. So it's actually I acting out all the parts through the musical, and I did the narration, and I have music going along the whole time. Okay, there's music the whole. I introduced the. In fact, I'm very pleased, even though it's for elementary kids up to grade 6 initially, but higher grades can do it because they can learn. They can learn about the craft of drama and music. Even in the kindergartens, I really sort of feel pleased a couple of times when I introduce the troll and I have the music and I see 1 or 2 little kindergarten kids running to their teacher. I love that. I said, I've done it. I've gotten through that. They really have bought into it. And so it goes from there.
Okay.
And it's entertaining. It's not just for kids. The teachers will sit around. I mean, everybody has a laugh. They really have. So it's great fun. I've kept it going for. It's got to be many decades now. I haven't. It's one of those. It's one of those gems like Dickens' Christmas Carol.
Okay.
I bring it out once a year.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling us about that. I wanted you to talk about being a motivational speaker. Like, how did you get to be a singer, piano player, and then motivational speaker?
I'll tell you, everything I do has come through music. And this one particular, I'm going back maybe now 20 years. And I was doing a concert in a little small venue downtown. And it was like a do-it-yourself venue. Like all you had was the room. It wasn't built as a concert venue. It was, a bigger room in a medium-sized building. So the day of the concert, I was doing a jazz thing, promoting my new album. And being leader, I had to go down early in the morning and actually turn the space into a concert thing because I had curtains and everything else supported by poles, and I had to put those up. So, all loaded in my station wagon. So I'm up and down the ladder, putting up the curtains. I'm hanging a few lights and, and things. And I've got was expecting I had rented a grand piano to come in. I had to supervise that and make sure it got tuned. So many things to do. So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I finally finished. I've been there since about 8. So I just run home to get freshened up, and then I come back and I do the concert. It was very well received. And then 2 weeks later, I get in the mail, I get this little Post-it note, okay? And it says, here it is, March the 11th. Holy cow, more than, I said 20 years, okay, 20. So it says, Dear Kory, thanks for the check. I paid, that was the check I paid to renting the venue. I have admired your persistent, quiet determination and attention to details. It is more than talent. It's a positive, it's mature determination. I could do well to apply the same to my life. May God bless all your effort. Signed, Nick. Who was Nick? Nick was the building custodian. He had been watching me prepare. He wasn't talking about the concert. He was watching me prepare for the concert. He could see I had one thing in mind, getting the space set. To me, not unusual. What's unusual? To him, he'd never obviously seen somebody so focused on getting a job done. So quiet determination. I don't know quite what he means. I wonder what he means by that. So I said, maybe it'll come to me. So I put this note away in a book on the shelf. It sat there for 10 years. And then I ran across a guy's name was, the heck was his name? Somebody Roberts. Anyways, he was at the time, his mantra was everybody has a book inside of them. Okay, so he was encouraging people to write a book. However, I ran across this program. Hey, this would be a time for me to explore what did Nick mean by quiet determination. So I started just writing, and what I was writing about turned out to be I ended up writing this book, Quiet Determination. 15 ways to break the barriers of your untapped success. And it is available as a PDF. If anybody I've changed it a little bit. Anybody wants an updated version, they can email me and I'll send them one, no problem. I'm working on an audio version right now, so people can also drive and listen. So I'll be happy to give your listeners one of those, no charge. I will even mail them one of these for free. All they have to do is pay for the postage, as long as it's in Canada. So I began writing, and what it was, I ended up writing how I became successful, my habits. It's a mindset about success is not a goal. Success is a mindset. And I just started writing about what I did at certain, or how I worked around things. And I say successful. I'm not saying success doesn't mean you're a millionaire. Success doesn't mean you have a big house. Success means that you've accomplished stuff. And how more successful you are, you accomplish more things. So that's one thing people should understand. Don't link success with money. You're a successful father, you're a successful husband, you're a successful businessman, you're a success, if you want to apply that to money, yes. And I would say being successful too. I have a place to live, I don't have to rent. I mean, that's successful. How many people wish that, they wish I owned my this or that? Okay. So, and it's not outlandish, but I'm satisfied. So I just wrote about basically a mindset, and that I used all through my life. And I didn't know this what it was. I was discovering something that I already did, but I was trying to, I guess, codify it. Okay, to understand it, because if it comes to you naturally, when people can sing naturally or do something naturally, they don't sit there and think about it. They just do it. If you ask them how they did it, then they have to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. If they want you to understand, rather than say, "Well, you just get up and you do it." Well, you just get up, you do it. Yeah. And this is what I did. And the amazing thing is, after I'd written each chapter, I didn't want to people think, well, he's just shooting his mouth off on this is the way that he did it. Okay, it's probably a bit of luck. But you know what, Marj? I went and I researched the psychology of what the psychologists said about what I was doing. And every single one of them I backed up in my book with scientific proof. What I was doing was scientifically, according to them, correct. Number one thing is very important, which most people, this is what causes a lot of people failure, is accountability. I was trained to be accountable. How was I trained to be accountable? I was trained to be accountable through daily practice of my piano. And I had a coach. And guess who that coach was? Starts with an A.
Okay, your mom. Yeah.
Okay. I had to practice every day, 5 days a week, 30 minutes, a half hour every time. No exceptions. Okay. So it wasn't the piano teacher. It wasn't whoever. It was my mom. She was the taskmaster. I mean, I did not enjoy it. I'll tell you that I did not enjoy it. Every 5 minutes, I'd call out because my mom would be, the living room was here and then would be an L shaped into the kitchen. So my mom could cook, and it was always around 5:30. She's making dinner and hearing me. And every 5 minutes, half hour up yet? Not yet. Okay. So I was trained
Yeah, very
to be
good.
accountable. And then you take that accountability with you
Yep.
to school, to work, to your daily life. Okay. I have to do this. I can't stop. I've been trained. I can't do a half-baked job. Must do it. Okay. So this is, and I found this out after teaching piano for so many years and waiting for the half hour to be up because they weren't star students. What I realized I was teaching them to be accountable. I was teaching them many other skills, which I talk about in my book, which came through training through music. And this changed my whole attitude towards teaching. I'm not teaching musicians. I'm teaching mindset. I'm teaching life skills. And I tell the parents that. I say, don't worry that little Mabel isn't a very good piano player. She's learning far greater things. In fact, it's proven kids who take any kind of music lessons do 15, 20% better in their schoolwork. Why? Because they're accountable. They have their concentration, the length of concentration is much longer than normal. They're more self-motivated. And this all results in a better chance to be successful in life. So one parent said to me, I get it. Successful in music, successful in life.
Right.
And it's that simple.
Sort of thing. Kory, I could talk to you. I'm so enjoy listening to you, but I think, run out of time for this podcast. I am going to have to schedule another podcast, I think, after I've read your book. I only skimmed the table of contents, and I also want to ask you more about your custom music songs. That intrigues me as well. So, Kory, this has been a fantastic conversation. I do hope we get together very soon and continue this. So yeah, it's, I do have to, though, I end all podcasts. I want to ask the question, what is one thing that you really like about our community?
I like about the community that there's so many things to do. I'll tell you what, I go to Newmarket. I've joined an improv comedy class club that meets every week. And this, blows me away. You think, I have to go all the way I was in the province, I have to go all the way downtown in Toronto to do something. No, all the same things, which I'm surprised, are up north. And it's more community related because when we do things up there, wherever we do performances once in a while, everybody comes. I mean, the plays are attended by the local people, well supported. The musicals are attended well, because I get, they don't want to drive like me. They want to drive all the way downtown and an hour getting down there and $20 for parking and all that. Hey, it's going to take me 15 minutes to get there or even a half hour to get there. I can park outside and it's every bit as good as anywhere else. So that's one thing.
One thing. Okay.
That's sort of come to me this last
Just
couple
now,
of years.
I like that answer, and that I think that was very worthwhile to share with people. So on our second podcast, you can tell me something else you like about our community.
Yeah,
but it's good. So again, thank you very much, Kory.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening. I would very much appreciate you sharing this podcast. Consider emailing me at Marj, M-A-R-J, at marjandre.com. I welcome suggestions for podcast guests. Stay well, stay connected.